It's an unreal fall day today. It's actually super windy. Like the power's out. Pretty much half of Abbotsford, the power's out. Like we tried to go to PetSmart. I have a rabbit at home. We tried to get the rabbit some food, but the PetSmart was closed. Starbucks was closed. Like nothing has any power. But I mean, you just look around like, how unreal is this day? This is as good as it gets. Like I'll take this day over pretty much any other day. Like 30 degrees in the summer, a nice snowy day. Like you give me this is like 10 out of 10. Now, I put out a video, this was like, I think last week or 5 days ago or something like that, talking about how bad Canadian real estate could get. And I got a couple texts because I have some active clients and then some clients from the past who were like, you know, that video scared the shit out of me, right? And I don't blame them because it was a pretty bleak video, but it was the truth. You know, like that's the unfortunate reality of financial markets is they can get a lot worse than you could ever possibly imagine, right? That's how they get that bad because nobody thinks they're going to get that bad, right? But like I said, that's not my base case. That's not what I think is going to happen. I don't think things are going to get, you know, crazy terrible or anything like that. I mean, it's always possible. The problem is like, it kind of goes against like fundamental, bro, it's so windy out here. It kind of goes against fundamentally how you should think as an investor. It's like, you know, every single person in Canada thinks the real estate market's going to crash. Everybody. There isn't a comment on my YouTube that doesn't think the market's going to crash. So for me to go ahead and believe that it's going to crash, or I mean, it already crashed. It crashed in 2022, but for me to now believe we're going to see another 30% crash after the 30% crash we already saw, it would go against how an investor should fundamentally look at things, right? Because you kind of want to be a contrarian to be a successful investor, right? Most successful investors are. And if I'm going to take the stance that the market is going to crash 30%, well, that kind of just slots me in with everybody else. Now, I'm not saying that they're wrong, because they might be right, 100%. I mean, it looks like they're going to be right. Right now, time of recording, all the data would support that argument. But it's just, that's why it's hard for me to say that that's what we're going to see, because it just goes against fundamentally how you want to think as an investor or as somebody who's buying an asset. I always like to compare it to the stock market, and a lot of people give me shit for that. They say, this isn't the stock market. Why are you talking about the stock market? Well, it's the same psychology. You know, whether it's stocks or real estate, it's still the same human psychology, and like the mechanics are different, so they're not going to be exactly the same, but they're still driven by the way people feel about things. Both of the markets are. They're both driven by the way people feel, right? For the most part. You know, they're also, like, real estate has interest rates and some other things, and, you know, immigration and all these types of things too. But, you know, the biggest thing is always, what do people feel about the future? That's the biggest thing, right? And I mean, you look at the stock market in the last 3 years, the entire time people have been saying it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash. And now it's like, look where we're at, right? The S&P is $6,800, and people are calling it the most hated bull rally of all time, because even it somehow managed to wreck everybody, right? Like, all the institutions are somehow underinvested in a market that's gone up like, you know, 100% over the last 3 years. The institutions are underinvested, the public's underinvested. Somehow everybody's underinvested, but the market's gone up substantially, right? And then the bears have obviously gotten wrecked. It's like somehow everybody just got wrecked in that equation, right? Trump posted the whole China tariffs thing, and then the market sold off really quick. Like, a whole bunch of people got completely liquidated. Everybody that's trading on leverage got liquidated. And now the market's like back up to where it was before that news came out. So if you were trading on leverage, you got wrecked, you got liquidated, you lost everything, and now the market's back up to like where you had where you owned those assets at before. Max pain. You got wrecked 10 out of 10, the most painful way you could possibly be wrecked. And that's what markets always seem to do somehow. And I always said, I think the most painful situation here for Canada as a whole is the market going down more from here, bleeding another 10%, and then slowly recovering after that, but taking like 7-10 years to get back to the peak of 2022 prices would probably be the most painful scenario, because it's going to be tough for first-time buyers to get into the market because it's still expensive. Sellers that own real estate that are down on it can't really get out of it. Like buyers and sellers, it's like everybody loses in that situation, right? It's still expensive for new buyers. It's not expensive enough for the people who own it. Everybody collectively gets wrecked if that's the scenario. Whereas if the market sold off 30% right now, while interest rates are also going down, it'd be extremely easy for a lot of people to get back in. And that's obviously what everybody wants. And that would be the most healthy thing for Canada. And that's exactly why I think that's probably not what's going to happen. I think you're probably just going to see a very slow, uneventful bleed for the next year, and then a bottom sometime towards the end of this year, maybe 2027. And then just like how Oxford Economics forecasted, and the guy on Reddit, they called for basic a 2026, 2027 bottom. Prices start going back up, but very slowly. No raging bull market. And then by 2032, we're back at all-time highs for nominal prices, not inflation-adjusted prices, but for nominal prices. And to me, that seems like the most likely scenario. Even though I said, yeah, things can get very, very bad from here. The market can go down quite a bit from here. Absolutely all possible. Wouldn't surprise me. I think the most likely scenario is just a very slow, uneventful bleed. And to me, that would probably cause max pain. Now, just for the people who stayed to the very end, because I had a really big debate with myself whether or not I even wanted to put this on social media, but for the people that stuck around to the end, this is my new car. It's a Porsche Taycan. Wasn't a good financial move, obviously. But it was part of my bucket list. You know, I think every guy, regardless of your upbringing, where you're from, whatever, every single guy has own a nice car on the bucket list. And I figured owning a nice car at 31 was probably a lot more valuable than owning one at 45. So I did it. And maybe I won't like it, and maybe the maintenance will be too much, maybe it's too expensive, and maybe it'll be a pain in the ass. But it is frickin' cool. And I get a lot of looks while I'm driving. A lot of random people have complimented me. And it's making me happy for now. But maybe in a year I'll decide, you know, that was stupid. I won't do that again. I heavily debated showing people this car for obvious reasons. But I figured the people that watch my YouTubes to the end, who've supported me, you know, I've always been open about what I do. I've always been open about what I do. And I figured if I didn't post this, then I'm not showing I'm like changing my content. I'm not doing what I've always done. And this is what I've always done. So if you supported the channel, I appreciate you. It's not my dream car, but it's pretty damn close. My dream car is a 911. This is the Taycan, so it's electric. It's not gas. The gas one's just way too expensive. I had to pay all that money plus the gas and like the maintenance and everything. So this made the most sense for now. And it's a beautiful car and I love it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for supporting the channel, everything in between. If you're still here, please like, subscribe. If you want to chat with me about buying or selling in the Fraser Valley, link down in the description. Otherwise, appreciate you for watching. I'm that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.